I'm not so much looking for certain characters when I make a film, but maybe I have a more abstract or theoretical approach. I'm usually interested in structures or in finding out how certain societies work, how communities function, and then I find my characters. So I'm not a filmmaker as, or not until now, this can come in my life, that is, I'm not so much interested in doing portraits of certain people or of private lives. I'm more interested in analyzing patterns or structures, I must say. And of course, when you look at a city or a community, then you have the powerful and the less powerful, and you find out who is who and where in a hierarchy, and that's what I'm interested in. I'm doing a lot of preparation before I'm shooting, but in a different way maybe as usual. I read a lot, I imagine a lot, I walk around my subjects a lot, and I even go to places. For instance, I did some research in the United States before I was shooting American Passages, and we did a lot research on the internet and even encountered people on the internet and so on. And then when I'm shooting, I usually avoid to repeat myself. If I met people before in the research, I don't want to meet them again for filming. So the preparation is one thing and the shooting is another, because then I'm curious to meet new people or new situations, or just take what is the moment offering me. And I like that. I like these spontaneous decisions, and I also like it when we are on our way to a certain place and we are lost. And then you come to a place you didn't imagine that you would go there, and then maybe something new happens. You know, so I like this kind of chance, if you call it chance or fate or whatever, in my filmmaking a lot. Also, when I talk to people, you know, I made this film Homemade, for instance. There you can really see it. It's a film about my street. And almost every person I talk to, says at a certain point, so now we're done. And then there's a pause. And then I continue to film. And then they say something even more interesting sometimes. Or a joke comes or whatever, yeah? So from the beginning of making films, I always told the camera person, don't stop the camera when the action stops. Just continue. Because many times, as in Paper Bridge, there's this conversation between two men, which takes for quite a long time and is very interesting. And then the bus comes, one says, the bus comes, and they get up. So we continue to film, and then all of a sudden, your focus is on these paper cups, and they were playing with these paper cups all the time. And all of a sudden, in the same shot, you see the empty table with the paper cups, and your attention is brought to this small detail. So I think that's always interesting to film before the action and after the action. Yes, but I mean, this was really big luck to find that, and I didn't find it in an archive. It was because in the archive they keep only what they transmitted on TV. And so this was in the private house of a journalist who kept the cassette. He didn't give it back to the TV station, so he kept it at home. And I usually wouldn't use that because in a way everybody is funny preparing for TV performance. But in this case, it was so crazy to have this cleaning lady cleaning up under the table after you see a film for 1.5 hours about history and lying about history. So cleaning away, cleaning up history, cleaning up memory. It was so symbolical. You couldn't invent it. And dressed in yellow. It was just that's the luck of the documentary filmmaker, that things happen. Things can happen if you are ready to see them when they happen, and if you wait, if you are patient, and if you're curious, then sometimes the most amazing films happen, and the most amazing things happen to you during filmmaking. For instance, we were filming in Israel for my film Towards Jerusalem, and we were filming along the street, so it was quite difficult to be in the dust and with the cars all day. And on a Friday, we were filming at a gas station, and there was this Palestinian guy who worked there, and we had a cameraman, a sound engineer from Israel. So it was Friday, and we were there already for hours. And he said, Shabbat will come, I would like to go home, my family, and so on. And I said, I don't know why I said it, but I just said, let's wait a little bit more. It was very boring there, nothing happened. And all of a sudden, while we were shooting this Palestinian guy, there was a van driving in the same shot with a megaphone saying, Shabbat is coming, stop filming, greetings from the rabbi of Lubavitch. So there were these bearded guys driving in with their van with a sign on it saying the Messiah will come soon. And this encounter of the Palestinian, who he was smiling on, thought, who are these crazy guys? And them in the same shot is something you just get when you are lucky and a documentary filmmaker. It took me a long time to call myself a filmmaker, I must say, because I'm also writing and like to do installations. So I didn't define myself that much as a filmmaker, but since maybe 10 years, I would say yes, I'm a filmmaker. But for instance, when I filmed the footage which is in the Waldheim walls, it was the first time I had a camera in my hands in the year 1986. I didn't think of putting this in a film. I just filmed because the official TVs didn't film us, ignored us. The media ignored the people who were against Waldheim. And it was more the need to document for ourselves that we're here. And at the same time, I was in the editing room for my film Paper Bridge. And I decided to put some scenes I had shot in the streets of Vienna while I was already editing my film in the film. So that was the first time I filmed and I used in a film what I filmed myself. And then I completely forgot the material, and only now when I decided to make a film about Waldheim, I watched it again and used it again. But usually for a long time, I just used a flip or a very small camera or then a phone to make notes. I didn't think of myself as a camera person at all. But when I did research for American Passages, I had already a small but good camera, and filmed myself. Some of those scenes are in the film. And I discovered that with this digital possibilities, you can work in the post-production on the image, and I think people in the cinema don't see the difference between my camera and the better camera the camera person used during the real filming. So, and I even, in American Passages, there are even some scenes I shot with the flip. I don't know if you remember the flip. This was before the iPhones became so good. There was a very small camera in the US, which was great because it had just one button, on and off. So I really liked it. And it's amazing that you can put something like that on the big screen. So today I'm quite happy with when I do camera myself. I like it. With documentaries, the editing room is very important. The French say the editing is la troisième écriture. So you write the film, when you write a treatment or an exposé, that's the first écriture, and then you film it, and then you invent a new film in the editing room. That's always the case, I think. But in this special case, as this film has more an experimental touch, we were really blocked in the edit. I love to work with an editor. And I work with the same editor, Dieter Pichler, since the year 2000. And we have a lot of fun, and I don't like to work alone in the editing. But in this case, there was a moment when we were blocked. I mean, we didn't know. Because when you work with someone, you have to explain. You have to talk. It's the same when you are filming with a camera, with a team. You have, in a certain way, explain yourself. And when you're alone, you just can go by your feelings. It's the same when I have the camera in my hands with the mic on it and I'm alone. So I don't think why I do this now. I just do it. So at a certain point in the editing process, for 2 or 3 weeks, I took over. And it was like writing, you know. I got up at night and I had a certain idea and I just did it. So I really advanced in these 2 or 3 weeks because I didn't ask myself, I didn't explain to myself why I did it, just did it. And I found out that when you, even for the whole film making, if you are well prepared, then it's good to forget everything and just go, you know? When I made my first feature-length film, Return to Vienna, I still had so many cards with all the questions and, you know, I very well prepared, but stuck with my preparation. So slowly but surely, I just became more confident and I just go. And I do what I feel that is good at the moment, you know. Of course, the best feeling you have is when you have the formal idea right away. That happened, for instance, with the Dreamed Ones, when I decided to make a film about the correspondence between these two poets and their love story. I knew immediately that I will shoot in a sound studio and that I will have 2 young, very young people, actors or non-actors, read the letters. Not perform the personalities, but be like doing an audiobook or whatever and read the letters and have this mixture of fiction and documentary. So I knew that from the beginning. That's good because you feel secure. With other projects, the form, you search for the form. And that can be very painful because you get depressed, you have the feeling it will never happen. And sometimes you find it before shooting, sometimes during shooting. For instance, with American Passages, I really had this crazy idea because to film people only in their house. So have a room in their house and a close-up. So I filmed like that the first day, and then I thought, this is so boring for myself. I'm not going to do that, you know? So I just changed the whole idea. Sometimes you're too stuck in a formal idea. And sometimes the project just develops. Like with Paper Bridge, I knew that I will shoot in Romania in December, and then I wanted to find something to show how memory works. And I was looking and searching, and then this filmmaking in Yugoslavia, former Yugoslavia, happened. That a big US company made a mini-series called The War and Remembrance and took Jewish extras from Vienna and Sarajevo to this place in winter. So then I had this idea, well, they will be extras and they will play people in a camp. So I will go there and film them when they come back from the shooting to get an idea, because I thought this will provoke something, a memory or ideas about what had happened in these camps or how they feel being Jewish after the war today. So, you know, I was just looking for something that you can, that would provoke people to show you something that you can film. Like the same process in this exhibition, which showed the crimes of the Wehrmacht with more than 1,000 photographs on the walls. I thought this is a good place to provoke this old man who would go to see the exhibition. I was sure they would go to see these photographs, to talk about their experiences when they have been soldiers in the Wehrmacht in Eastern Europe. And it happened. So the photographs on the walls, I didn't even shoot them. I was sure I don't want to show them. I just used them as a trigger for the memories of these people. So it's different, you know, finding the right form is the most important thing, I think. And many times it's a negative decision, like not to show the photographs, not to show everything, or not make interviews about Waldheim today. This I knew from the beginning, that I want to work only with archival footage for this film, The Waldheim Walls. And I'm not interested in old men remembering what had happened then, because I'm only mainly men in the film. So this was also a negative decision, not to, yeah? Like Bartleby, I'd rather not to. Because, you know, television people, they want to shoot everything. And they always have this same porridge or same mixture of interviews, footage, landscapes, and whatever.
The B-roll.
Yeah, and the ashtray. You know, that's just boring. So as filmmakers, and it's not only a formal thing, it's a decision where you want to focus, what you want to focus on, and what you want the spectators to focus on. So if I decide to show only 2 young actors in a studio, then I want people to focus on the text and their faces and not see, I don't know, all the places where these two poets had lived. No? So this is a decision to focus, because our lives and the media are so dispersed. I mean, we are not concentrating anymore. So I think one of the purposes to make a film, when you have already people who who are ready to sit in the dark for a certain time, you can torture them by giving them some more difficult stuff to see and listen to. I very much believe I like vertical montage, meaning that the sound, the text, and the image contradict, or how do you say?
Play against each other.
Yeah, play against each other, or play on different levels. And that's what I tried in Paper Bridge, because you don't find the images anymore. And that's in the beginning I was disappointed that I was not allowed to shoot in Czernowitz, where my father came from, and my grandfather. And then I thought, well, maybe it's good like that, because these landscapes in the fog, they are like empty images, and you can fill them with all the other images you have from old photographs or your family album or whatever, yeah, stories you've heard. So I like that. I like I think sound and words are very, very important and underestimated today. They are so powerful. You can, I mean, who said it? Woody Allen or Godard? Woody Allen, I think, or Godard. If you talk about sex, you just have a black screen, yeah? There are subjects which are so powerful, or words that are powerful, that you don't need a very interesting image. On the contrary, sometimes. Yeah, but I think there is too much on in films. I mean, scenes where the sound and the image are synchronized. It's many times more interesting to separate them. Oh, yeah, love and cinema. Sure, the moment, I mean, there is a love story which is very strange the moment the camera is on. And I think an interview or meeting someone, the moment the camera is on, I feel it's like a love story, because I forget the whole world around and I just concentrate so much on this person. And I think the other person feels it, because then they open up and they trust you. It's a short love story, because then you move on.